Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to show you about the Sense My City testbed. It's actually, the name of the talk is the same as in last conference, but the rest of the talk is not, and I hope somebody will notice the difference. Okay, is this working? Yes. First of all, what's a crowd sensor? Nowadays, everybody has smartphones, and smartphones can connect to many things, to your bike, to your car, to devices you use to sense yourself when you're jogging on your daily life, to everyday stuff like bottles of wine, glasses of wine, and who knows what else. And there are many, many, many smartphones around. Okay, so these numbers, I took them today from the GSM Alliance forecasts for the next 6 years. So 2020, there will be 5.9 billion smartphones in the world. So if you put these two things together, you get an Internet of Things crowd sensor. And what we do is we want to leverage the power of the crowd to sense very large-scale human processes. Okay, so using people as sensors. So what does this mean? What do you, if you want to participate, see? You see a mobile application. Actually, you probably see a mobile application that does not even look, okay, this is not what I wanted to show, but does not even look like this, because this is just a standard user interface. It's very easy to change. What we have is a sensing engine that works in the background, that collects data automatically. It's configurable, so whoever wants to sense a specific process can define what should be sensed and how it should be sensed. Then the engine also uploads data opportunistically. What this means is that there's a protocol that guarantees that no data is lost when sending it to our databases, but it will also connect data whenever you connect to a Wi-Fi network, or if you choose to do so, when you connect to 3G. So after you configure it, you don't need to do anything else, so it's seamless for the user. About usability, we initially put there, as you can see, a play, a pause, and a stop buttons, because we thought users would like to decide when they want to collect data and not. So the first thing when we put this out, the first feedback we got from the users was, please remove the buttons. Once we install the app, we don't care anymore, just collect the data. So now we have automatic algorithms to do these things, start and stopping automatically. It's battery efficient because you want to do this in the background without disturbing the user by depleting the battery. And this also took a lot of work to figure out. But this is what the user sees. What's in the back is that you don't want to sense one sensor. You want to sense many, many sensors. So you have all these many smartphones and their data, they're sending data eventually at the same time to our back office. The back office consists of a collection service that can communicate efficiently with the smartphones. We have two databases, one for writing and one for accessing and doing processing on the data. And we have so far working this sort of data processing you can see here. We are able to calculate average speed per street, so not just only for making plots, but we can now produce a feed that tells you the average speed on each street in Porto, as long as the street is in OpenStreetMaps. We also can calculate the fuel consumption based on GPS data. We can calculate the steepness of the street, and we also merge that with some other OpenStreetMaps data, like the width of the street and the maximum speed, so that you could do some bike routing that's friendlier than sending people up Faria Guimarães or Avenida da Boa Vista, which is not the most, they're fast, but they're not the most friendly places for riding a bike. And our last project, which is the mood sensor, I will tell you a bit more about that. allows us to calculate the average mood in certain areas of the city. All this back office is replicated on premise, means this is currently really in the cloud. It's not only for the nice picture. And we have replicated it just for reliability and availability. And the data is now also available onto interfaces on the one hand side for the single participant. He can see his own data. And there's also an API which is made available by PT Inovação within another project, which enables us to very easily make the data as flows available for other people to use. So now I'm going to talk about two big elephants in the room. This is the first big elephant in the room. It's two elephants in the room. This is the big elephant in the room, data privacy. So what do we do about it? First of all, participation is voluntary. So participants fill out, when they start gathering data, informed consent forms. Okay, so they know what they're collecting, or if you click without reading, there's nothing I can do about it. Then anyway, you can, all participants can access their own data, anytime, anywhere, through a web browser. They can also, I'm going to tell about that. The data is authenticated through OpenID, so we do not keep credentials. We only store necessary information to be able to give the user his own data. So each user, each participant can access his own data. So if you ask me to give, me personally to give you your data, I cannot do that. You have to do it yourself. The other thing we do, by producing data sets, we anonymize them. We anonymize them, providing k-anonymity in some of them. For example, in the mood sensor, we only put balls. You're going to see the balls. Circles. Wherever we have a certain minimum number of answers by a certain minimum number of users, so that you cannot know whose mood it is and when. Okay? And the other thing is we do, for example, for the fuel consumption data set, we do not put simultaneous time and location on the data sets. So, okay, so if you don't put, so we just put all trips starting at 0, meaning people cannot track really who started in which day and whether you're going one direction or the other, and after it's aggregated. Okay. So this is the smaller elephant. It's data ownership. And as I told you, each participant has access to his own data. On a web interface, you can access it, you can visualize your own data, you can download your own data, and you can delete it. And yes, it's really deleted. If you delete it, it's gone. Okay, we don't keep a backup where we go and undelete whatever you deleted. It's troublesome to do that, and there are many people contributing, so yeah. We actually think that more people will contribute if they are able to delete and they don't delete than if we don't give that possibility. So what does it give to the user? So this is my own personal, this is a trip to Matosinhos, as you can see. This is the interface that we have right now. We are not user interface experts, as you might notice, but it does give you some information. And actually, this is very nice. You can also compare your trips. And if you see, I am actually comparing, you only seen one of them, but I'm comparing two trips to Matosinhos on two different paths. And one of them, the first one is actually shorter. It takes 27 minutes. And it's only 8 kilometers. And the second one is 32 minutes and 8.5 kilometers. But the second one is longer, is farther away, takes longer, but it consumes less fuel. So it's the kind of thing you might want to try out for your daily trips. I mean, I didn't do this on purpose, I found out through this place. Wrong, so I did a mute, sorry. Now, this is what it looks like when you put it on an urban sail, because this is what we want to do, to collect data about the whole city. And so this is the data from the 183 users of Sense My City. This was done by our visualization artist, Danielle, as you might notice the similarities with the previous talk. And of course, yeah, most people do start or end in FILP, as is expectable. However, we would like to extend this to the whole city, so if you want to contribute, just download the application and we will be collecting your data, and you can also stop it at any time. We're just happy about any data you might want to share with us. This is another plot, so this is the ecological footprint. This is actually the emissions calculated from the GPS data. The emissions calculated by the GPS data, we have an algorithm developed along the project that can calculate, can estimate, so it's not calculating, it's estimating the fuel consumption from a GPS trace. So we apply that to all GPS data that we receive, and that's how we calculate average fuel consumptions. Emissions are proportional to fuel consumptions, and so this is what you can also get. But since my city was built to be a research tool, and so I'm going to give you an example that João Paulo will later on follow up upon. This was done within a MISC project, which already ended some time ago, also with STCP, by the way. And we use Sense My City to configure an easy way for bus drivers to collect their data, their daily data. And so we use Sense My City to fill in questionnaires at the beginning of the day, get the data from a cardiac sensor during the day, and processing all of this in the back office to produce a recall phase that looks like this. So the bus drivers could look at this and say whether were they stressed or not, and what was the reason. And so this helped them remember, and João Paulo is going to show you how that worked. What we did, again, on an urban scale, is that we built a map of bus driver stress. Okay, and the numbers in the balls are actually the causes. We identified 7 categories or 6 categories of bus driver stress, and so we can also see where certain things happen more often or not. Now, as a research tool, what about citizens' mood, right? How do people feel in the city? This is our youngest project, so this is not, I'm not going to talk about the present and the future because it's a continuum, right? So, and this is happening. We started this year, we started talking about it 1 year ago, we started building it, and we started collecting data in May, test data, and we keep collecting it. It's done with the Faculdade de Psicologia e Ciências da Educação, with the Professor Cristina Queiroz. She will talk about the results. So this is what the app looks like. So those are, in the middle are the questionnaires that you pop up 3 times a day, and then you can also see the current mood map of the city. And you can download this application from Google Play, anybody. So you can also just put Sense My Mood in Google Play and sense your mood, contribute to your mood. And this is what we get from it. So this is the mood, this is the most recent map we have. Those circles are 300 meters wide, and again, as I told you before, these are the circles that only appear here if you do if there are at least 3 people responding to at least 3 questionnaires. You know these 2 red balls? Do you know what they are? They are VCI between Antas and before exiting to A4, and they are stopped. Okay, I don't know if it's before or after, I just know it's there. And those other 2, those other red balls, they're also on A4, so with low speed. So yeah, this is ongoing work, it just started recently, but that's what we might get from such research. Christina will be telling you about stuff in a moment. Now, I just would like, before I move on to say the last numbers, I would like to thank one person. I would like everybody to give a big applause to João. Please stand up. I put everywhere. João spent a long time. He spent a long hours making maps, lots of maps, high-resolution maps. So, thank you. Now we need to work on the PhD, right? So numbers, we have 183 unique users, over 10,000 collected hours. over 66,000 kilometers, and 1.2 million locations, and over 4.4 million fuel consumption data points. In terms of numbers, this is a research tool, right? 7 projects at University of Porto have been working with this tool for several years. João Paulo, Cristina will be talking about Sense My Mood, João Paulo will be talking about MISC Vital Responder, and Miguel Coimbra will be talking about future health. And Voce is a project about stress in public speaking, which just ended recently. There are other users outside of Porto. The first users were the Núcleo of Engenharia Biomédica, the student Núcleo, some years ago. Then there's the University of Coimbra, using it in classes, the TU Delft, an architecture group, and now we have some geographers from the Universidade Autónoma de Madrid wanting to use Sense My City, and we hope to get many more. What do we also do? We provide anonymized data. We have data flows per street for the fuel consumption, average speed, and steepness, and we have some data sets of data sets of Wi-Fi access points where people are, so amount of people in a certain point, and the mood map. Okay, so now Cristina, you can